South Africa! Fuck Ramaphosa! Fuck Ramaphosa! Fuck Ramaphosa! Reclaim South Africa! Reclaim South Africa!
Hi everyone, I hope everyone is doing well. So unfortunately we will have to be postponing the march in a lot of our provinces. We'll still be continuing with the Western Cape Town one, as well as the KZN Durban one. I just want to emphasize this point: just because we're saying postponed doesn't mean cancelled. We are forced to postpone. This is literally a last resort. None of us wanted this, so we're trying to get everything in order, getting estimates, but we'll most likely be having the national protest somewhere around the 2nd or 3rd week of October. Because we do want this protest to be legal and also safe for everybody, we have to follow suit and just postpone. We don't want to, but unfortunately we have to. But that doesn't mean that our movement loses any meaning. We are still fighting for these issues because they're everyday issues. So please be gracious with us as well. We're just normal human beings just trying to come together and make South Africa better.
Hi Buma, Natul. Social. What happened to the march? It was supposed to be from rapture to revolution. Na poster nathi ngomhla 24 Macha Union Buildings na former poster. Come the day kwathulakala. Ama-Gen Z asitshela ukuthi thina millennials sisibadala, they'll lead the charge because those in Nepal were taking down government and they were going to do the same thing. Kwaphuma amathiphu ukuthi bangashisi lutho, kwaphuma kwaphuma i-dress code, kwaphuma ama-celebrity bathi they're gonna support kwathulakala. Like, what really happened? I'm really interested in knowing, because I thought you were information. What happened?
Stop having the mentality that you only have one shot.
Let me start off by saying, as the president of Reclaim SA, hashtag Reclaim SA, I apologize, and we take full responsibility for disappointing the people, for disappointing the youth.
This movement means so much to all of us. We don't want anything to happen, and in the space that we're in, we only have so much hope. We do understand that, but we do have to be realistic though. If we said we're going to do this, if we said we are planning, if we said we have people that are volunteering, you've seen our documents, you've seen all of these things. If we say we're serious and we're doing it until we get a response, until we get what we want, we can't do things the wrong way. So as I'm apologizing, as I'm acknowledging our wrongs, I do implore you to practice sensibility, to practice empathy, to put yourself in our shoes, to say, yes, we've started this thing, but we must do it responsibly. Because you're not going to be the ones that are going to be called by police stations trying to bail people out when people are bleeding and that blood is on your hands. You want to be up in arms right now saying you're angry. Who's not angry? We're all angry. We want the best result. We want a way forward that is responsible. Let me tell you about things that have happened that you are unaware of. Firstly, there have been people trying to bribe us. I will show you screenshots and videos If it doesn't fit into this one, it'll be the next one. They have been ladies trying to call me fear-mongering and saying, oh no, they have investors, you should pull out, you should stop, inciting violence, inciting sowing seeds, and making me fight with my team, right? Saying people have told me to stop and whatnot, and that hasn't happened. I will show you the place is on TikTok. Our groups have been infiltrated, and we have rooted out the problems. An organization that was helping us with research, but they have planted spies within us, and they're taking information. It's so funny how they started because of me, but they feel like their values aren't aligning with us anymore, and they're using that space of vulnerability against us. So it's acting out of bad faith, and we are distancing ourselves from that organization. Furthermore, there has been sabotage from state leadership. Every single police station that we've gone to, they've run us around. Might not know all the rules, so they would take us there and there and there and there. And we were approached by political parties. So it's a non-partisan march. And this is for the people, this is for the youth, right? So we're approached, we're like, okay, we don't have enough resources to help everybody, not to help, but to support this movement the way it needs. So we will have a united front, because we are people first, right? With all these political parties that have offered water, that have offered refreshments, and so forth and so forth. So it's not that we weren't prepared in that sense, but at the last minute, it crumbled. We were working day and night, trying to make sure that, okay, every single angle is covered. How do you start an organization this big in a week? There will be cracks. We said we're working together. We said this is a collaborative effort. But at the end of the day, somebody needs to make decisions. Can't open it up to a platform. We've opened so many platforms, people don't want to volunteer. People don't want to participate until something like this happens. Other provinces. And then you want to say, okay, no, we don't include you. But this is the first structure that you've ever seen like this, the way you have been participating. Every single political party that you've ever experienced tells you what to do, doesn't include you in anything. We have been so transparent, and right now, it's like we're giving our hands and you want our whole bodies. You want to be led, but you want to lead from the back seat. It doesn't work that way. At some point, you have to trust what is happening. At some point, you have to trust that, okay, these people have values. That we're putting people first every single time. That, oh no, this movement, this movement, that. This is the first time that every single time that so many people have had a voice in making change. Recognizing the landscape right now. Recognizing how South Africa works right now. Navigating that is not easy. So things like you've been captured, You've never seen anything past the ANC. Navigating is not easy, but we're doing it. We have goals. We have values. We're fighting for the dignity of marginalized communities. And it doesn't stop now. This isn't the end. It's not the last one. Stop having the mentality that you only have one shot. It just speaks to your belief in yourself. We don't want that over here, okay? We believe in this so much that even though we had to make that tough decision, we're like, no, it's fine. Let's take a step back. Let's regroup. Let's do better. We need to do that each and every single time.
We all dream of a scenario where we join something bigger than ourselves and we participate in a world-changing events. We all dream of one day sitting down and being asked by our descendants what we did in our lifetime, and we dream about saying, oh, well, I was part of this thing that changed that for this group of people and us. And usually it's always the disenfranchised youth that feel the need to join up in causes and take up arms for change and so on and so forth. It's the youthful vigor within us that calls us to such movements, that calls us to be better. If you look through the annals of history, most of the political parties, most of the movements, hell, even most of the wars, if not all of the wars, were fought by patriots between the ages of 16 and 35 that felt that they could change the world. And in many cases they did. In many cases they did. Most of the guys who were in the trenches of World War I and in the jungles of World War II were people who would be considered youth in this day and age. But as I've noticed the tides shifting, I've seen that has been used against the youth. That has been used against the youth. That youthful vigor that calls for change is being stifled. And personally, this is a video that, if you've noticed, I've been taking time. I took I think 10 or 7 days to release another video because I really wanted to make a video about South Africa's upcoming 24th of September protest, right? And I got really involved. I went down the rabbit hole. I joined the WhatsApp groups. I joined wherever there was a congregation of youth in regards to the 24th of September protest and movement. I was there. I kept my pulse on the situation, woke up every morning checking to see what's going on. Hell, I was even prepared to go to the site of the protest and, get some footage, be a part of it and everything like that. But it didn't happen. It did not happen. And at the back of my mind, I had suspicions that this is not going to transpire because of how much the world has changed, right? If this was the millennium before, being your 1900s, it would have definitely happened. And bear in mind, during those days, they didn't have the WhatsApps, they didn't have the social medias to garner support and to pick up momentum and whatever. The community is just interconnected through people walking to the other community and say, hey, have you guys been experiencing this? This should change. And then all of us congregating to go and bring about that change. But it didn't happen because of the legalities around it. From what I got from the only organization that stepped up to take responsibility for it, it didn't happen because they couldn't get police clearances and so on and so forth. And I believe the reason why a small part of me believes that the reason why they didn't get that support is because the people they were fighting for weren't willing to put that into fruition. And this is where I know probably like I said at the beginning, this is a video that I was holding off on making. And then as I kept on holding off on making this video, I also began to hold off on wanting to make it. Because at first I was like, nah, let me wait until something happens, then I make the video. And then it became, I don't even want to make this video because of how, well, not even how, because of what I saw, right? Like what I saw in cyberspace, what I saw in real life and everything like that. And I saw that the system has already defeated us. The system has already consumed us. It's it's too late. Chances of us winning now are a far shot in hell, right? And that's because of the comforts that we've been allowed. Like if you take into account the level of distraction that most South African youth are under. Like we're always concerned about our outfits, money, and what's the coolest, what's the hippest new spot to go and hang out or whatever. Do you get what I mean? And music. Entertainment, basically, in an umbrella term. Entertainment has overrun us to the extent where I started to think to myself that maybe the issue is I'm not normal. Like I'm not the normal Gen Z participant. So maybe that's why I take it a bit more to heart than what the normal Gen Z participant would. Because if the average person doesn't really care about politics and they sit in this cosm of it is what it is, and because we've normalized the it is what it is like stance on things, that movement was dead in the water because a lot of people had a lot of things to say in the groups, in the comment sections of the organizations posting about the protest. They had so many things to say, but then just like how I did a video on the performative male pandemic, they are performative woke people. You know what I mean? Like you would read these comments and you're like, wow, this is a political studies or social studies major speaking here. I can hear the jargon, I can hear the technicalities and everything like that. I can hear that. That's cool. But then you have all these things to say, but you aren't participating in any of the things that you're talking about. Like, how does that correlate? Do you get what I mean? Like, I'll say, for instance, the things that I have said in my unscripted videos are the things that I think and the way that I live, right? Like maybe one day someone will go back into my channel history and find this video and be like, no, he wasn't telling the truth because this is what he does and this is what he does. And sure, fine. At that point, I am also a dynamic being. I am subject to change. However, me as of now, what I'm saying now is who I am now, right? And a lot of people are not who they say they are, especially online, because that's something that I saw prevalent in the discourse, especially for the provinces or the states that actually went through with the march and just did it anyway. The show out was terrible. The support from the actual youth was terrible. It was a public holiday, which meant that they should have been more of us there. But I cannot teleport to the Western Cape. So, you know what I mean? Like, I can't teleport to the Western Cape, so I couldn't. These stupid hardy-daws, I'm going to put them in a pot and eat them. But anyway, that's besides the point. What I was saying was, the fact that it was on a public holiday should have given more like fuel to the fire, should have added to the show out, to the show up, because you're not jeopardizing anything. Even we were asked to show up for free. All you would have had to spend was probably the transport money, and apart from that, like, how many times do you spend, how much money do you spend going to your sneaky links and going on your dates or your brunches or your girls trips or whatever, and don't feel the pinch? But when it's actually for the ability to afford the sneaky links and to afford the brunch dates and to afford all of these things, you don't show up. What was that? Literally, what was that? And the self cannibalization of the youth is another thing that I just had to say something about. Everyone is, well, yeah. In fact, you know what? They're going to come for me, sure, if they ever find me. But everyone is a performative activist here in South Africa. I am willing to stand on that belief. There are so many South African teens and youths and so on and so forth who have Free Palestine in their bios, but I want you to ask yourself, how many of them donated to Palestine? How many of them wanted to organize marches for Palestine? Same thing with Ukraine. When Ukraine was popping off too, they also had something to say. How many of them actually participated in that? And then they're surprised when nothing changes, but they don't participate. Like, wars are not fought on the internet. They are fought in real life. You know what I mean? Like, wars are won and fought in real life. The internet doesn't like play any role. Like Nepal, the inspiration, I believe, for the 24th September movement did a lot more in real life than they did online. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure they spoke a bit less online and a lot more in real life. Oh man, these birds, they're on my list. These howdy-dows are going on my list. They keep distracting me. But anyway, I'm going to continue. They have more, they had more in real life interactions than on the net. And that's something I've seen where someone will get there and be like, no, the old people and the old systems in which they do things must come down. We must do away with the system, start from scratch. We are an apolitical movement. It must remain apolitical. No one is supposed to be, flying any political flags and whatever else during this protest and this march. We should all just come together. And then came the day. And a small part of me, like in the state that I'm in, a small part of me is happy that I'm going to say alleged president of the movement, because even within that, it could not be confirmed how they became the president, where the elections were, who chose them. But basically my point was to say, I was glad that it didn't happen, because the turnout in the places where it did happen was disappointing. Very disappointing. Oh man, it was sad. You know what I mean? I don't even think they had enough for 2 football teams. Like 11-a-side. I don't even think they could play an 11-a-side match with all the attendance of the protest that actually did go through. So I'm like, this would have just been a flash in a pan and completely over. And that would have made all factions and all parts of the protest look unserious. And that is the worst thing that can happen to a movement that wants legitimate change, that wants change that would do well for the citizens, is them not being taken seriously. Because if they don't take you seriously, you will never have an ear with them. But yes, that was this video. And also, I put a lot of the clips at the beginning of the video to save people's For You pages and just like collect everything. So you stay in the know without having to sacrifice your algorithm. Mine was already sacrificed many years ago. So anyway, like and subscribe, and maybe we'll get them next time. I'm trying to keep a glass half full. I really am. So we'll see what happens. Share, like, subscribe, keep pushing.